If you've ever Googled, "Can dogs sense bad people?" you've probably seen answers like, "Yeah, absolutely. Dogs just know." They can read your energy. They have a sixth sense. And look, some of that comes from real observations. We've all had that moment where your dog acts a little off around someone. Not aggressive, not barking, just watching. Maybe they stay a bit closer to you. Maybe they hesitate. And you can't quite explain it, but there's this feeling in your gut like, yeah, I see it too. It feels like something mysterious is happening, but it's not magic. And honestly, what's actually happening is way more interesting. The next time your dog meets someone new, pay attention to the first few seconds. Because in that tiny window before you've even finished saying hello, your dog has already started evaluating that person. And they're not doing just one thing. They're doing several things at once. First, they're reading body language. Not just the face, the whole body. How the person walks in, where their weight is, whether their movements are smooth or tense, whether they approach directly or slightly curved. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to movement patterns. Someone who moves stiffly or unpredictably feels very different to them than someone relaxed and natural. Then there's scent. Your dog is picking up chemical signals you can't even detect. Changes in your body like stress, fear, or tension release, compounds that dogs can smell instantly. They're not labeling someone as good or bad. They're reading what you could call the chemical atmosphere of that person in real time. And then there's something most people completely overlook. Your dog is watching you. Your tone, your posture, your reactions. They've spent years learning your patterns, so if something shifts even slightly, they notice. If you tense up, even a little, that's information to them. Putting it all together. None of these signals alone tells your dog everything. But combined, body language, plus scent, plus your behavior, all happening within seconds. It creates something that looks like instinct, like your dog just knows. But they don't just know, they're processing. In 2015, a researcher named Akiko Takaoka at Kyoto University wanted to test something specific. Not whether dogs are smart, not whether they follow commands. She wanted to know, do dogs automatically follow human pointing gestures? Or do they actually evaluate the person doing the pointing? The setup was simple. Dog in a room, 2 containers. Researcher points at one. Food inside. Dog finds it. Trust established. Second round, researcher points at a different container. Dog runs over. Empty. The researcher has now misled the dog in the only language available to them, gesture. Third round, the researcher points at a container that does have food. And the dog looks at the researcher, looks at the container, and stays exactly where it is. 34 dogs went through this experiment. Not most of them. Every single one made the same call. And here's the detail that elevates this. From an interesting result to something worth sitting with. In the second part of the experiment, Takaoka swapped in a new person for round 3. Same setup, same containers. New human doing the pointing. The dogs followed immediately. They hadn't lost faith in pointing as a concept. They hadn't become broadly suspicious of the world. They had made a specific decision about a specific individual, and as soon as that individual was replaced, normal trust resumed. The researcher later said she was surprised by how quickly dogs devalue the reliability of a person. And honestly, that's kind of the perfect phrase. It's like your dog is quietly running a mental score on everyone they meet. Now, here's another experiment from the same university. This one is less about trust and more about how dogs judge behavior. A dog watches its owner trying to open a container and asking a nearby person for help. In one version, the person helps. In another, they deliberately ignore the owner. There's also a neutral person who just sits there. Afterward, both the unhelpful person and the neutral person offer the dog a treat. Same treat, same moment. No cues. And the dogs? They refuse to take food from the person who didn't help their owner. They walk past them and go to the neutral person instead. Think about that for a second. The dog wasn't treated badly. Nothing happened to the dog. It just watched how someone treated you and made a decision. Dogs aren't just tracking who's reliable. They're also tracking who's kind, especially toward the people they care about. But here's an interesting detail. They didn't reward the helpful person. They just avoided the unhelpful one. Scientists call this a negativity bias. Bad behavior matters more than good behavior, which actually makes a lot of sense. Knowing who to avoid can keep you safe. Now, this next part is where things get really fascinating. In another study, dogs watched a situation with 2 people and 2 containers. A treat gets hidden in one container. Then it gets moved. In one scenario, a person sees the switch happen. In another, they don't. Then that person comes back and points to the wrong container. From the dog's perspective, the action is identical. Someone is pointing incorrectly. But the dogs respond differently. When the person knew they were pointing wrong, dogs were more likely to ignore them. When the person didn't know, dogs were more likely to trust them. So it's not just, this person was wrong. It's closer to, this person was wrong, and they knew it. Which suggests dogs might be picking up on intent, not just behavior. Interestingly, not all dogs responded the same way. Breeds like retrievers and border collies dogs, bred to work closely with humans, were better at spotting the deception. Terriers? Not so much. They were more likely to follow the misleading cue. But that doesn't mean they're less intelligent. It just reflects how they were bred. Terriers were designed to work independently. Their mindset is basically, I'll go check for myself. Now, here's where things get a little more complicated. In 2025, another study tried to test whether dogs form opinions about people just by observing them being generous or selfish toward other dogs. The result? No clear preference. The dogs didn't seem to care. Even after watching the behavior, they didn't choose one person over the other. Here's the most reasonable explanation. Dogs seem to care most when something affects their trust, their relationship with you, their direct experience. When it's more distant or abstract, the signal might not be strong enough. So your dog probably isn't silently judging every stranger at the park. But in situations that involve you, they're paying very close attention. If your dog loves everyone they meet, that's not a problem. That's actually the default. Dogs generally start from a place of trust. It usually takes something specific, a clear signal for that trust to change. But if your dog suddenly avoids someone, that's worth noticing, because it's likely based on something real they picked up. Coming back to Kyoto. So let's return to that moment. The researcher points. The dog looks and doesn't move. At first glance, it looks like hesitation, but it's not. It's memory. That dog remembers what happened the last time it trusted that person. And it uses that experience to make a decision about what to do next. Your dog isn't psychic, but they are constantly observing, learning, and adjusting. Over thousands of years living alongside humans, they've developed a system for dealing with something complicated, us. So when your dog pauses for a second before deciding how to react to someone, that's not random, that's experience. Has your dog ever disliked someone and later you realize they had a reason? I'd genuinely love to hear that story. And here's something I'm curious about. Do you think dogs judge people purely on behavior? Or do you think there's something deeper going on? Let me know.